The one big code is, well, I'm going to be a dictator.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one. We're closing the border, and we're drilling.
So in essence, what he's saying is, I'm going to make up some executive orders that are going to change the direction that we're going.
For some Republicans,
come on, guys. He just said he'll be a dictator for one day. Maybe we miss the hogs in this community because like they haven't been around for quite some time. But I'm sure once like there are more hogs in this community, I'll start getting annoyed with them too, because they're going to start doing the, well, Donald Trump only said he would be a dictator for one day. He was just joking. Like people who are disingenuously framing what Donald Trump is saying and how damaging that will be, until I like unwind all of the talking points slowly but surely until they ultimately come out with the truth that they do think that, like, you know, deporting tens of millions of people, putting them in concentration camps would be good, because that's ultimately what it comes down to.
there are easy explanations.
A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles. So he's talking about the election fraud that he alleges in even those found in the Constitution. He's talking about suspending the Constitution here, it sounds like.
Well, it sounds like it, but I don't think it's going to be hard to implement. I don't think he's going to do it. He's a man, black letter law, not the spirit of.
Others will admit he can be coarse.
You know, this is a famous quote of his: for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution.
Well, I think that's a little bit, I think retribution's a little bit strong, but.
A little bit strong.
Yeah. I'm a Marine, so he comes across very Marine-like in what he has to say.
But what often alarms Democrats,
By that, she means he's really stupid. Like, I'm a Marine. My favorite crayon flavor is red. And Donald Trump also strikes me as a cherry red kind of guy.
You know, when they let, I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into our country, when they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country.
hasn't even been heard by some Republicans.
He's poisoning the blood of America.
The immigrants, they're poisoning the blood, the people who cross the border illegally. How should an independent voter hear that from Donald Trump?
So I'm not really paying no attention. When you say fake news, I believe some of that to be fake news.
Oh my God, dude, this is it. This is the same energy that like Nazis display when they're like, no, you don't get it. Donald Trump actually will secretly hate Israel because he secretly hates Jews. Nazis that are pro Donald Trump will just be like, no, I've actually imagined a different world where Donald Trump also believes what I believe. It's the same shit. That's what this guy's doing. He's like, as a older black gentleman who is a conservative, he very clearly still recognizes, you know, openly white supremacist rhetoric when he hears it. And obviously that is openly white supremacist rhetoric. So much so that in spite of his undying loyalty to Donald Trump, he's having a moment of cognitive dissonance. He's like, that does seem kind of fucked up.
No.
You don't think he really said this?
I didn't hear him personally.
I mean, it's on YouTube. You can
A
find
lot
it.
of things on YouTube.
And then there are those who have heard the comments.
There's a large of them, of immigrants that are good.
Yeah, you just gotta, bro, at that point, you just gotta fucking blast it. You had to have that ready. That would have been a perfect moment, dude. That would have been a phenomenal moment where you just go, oh, really? Well, what do you say to this?
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
What do you say to that? Certified HasanAbi talking point. When you try to explain Republican policy to everyday Republicans, they don't believe you because it sounds comedically evil. Yes, there is literal evidence for this. There have been studies conducted on this. When you sit a Republican down and explain to them what Republican policy is, and you explain to them step by step what it is, either they will say, you know what, I like that kind of violence, and demonstrate that they are like openly a fucking rabid fascist, or they simply will refuse to believe you. This is also partially where like the poll shyness conversation comes from. The idea that like Republicans sometimes hide their real beliefs because they also understand that like their real beliefs might be really truly abhorrent. So they keep it close to their chest.
People, I'm an immigrant myself, but the ones that are coming from the Middle East, that are terrorists.
So poisoning the blood to you is a reference to Middle Eastern.
Yeah, for me,
Immigration.
it's trying.
Oh, he's only specifically saying that to Middle Easterners. That somehow makes this okay. Never mind. Dude, Islamophobia is so incredibly commonplace is so incredibly normalized in American society that like a person literally personally thinks that they can just openly be like, no, 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 it's not Mexicans. It's actually Muslims. It's Arabs.
Not to bring terrorists into America, defending freedom.
What these Trump supporters take away
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
is often not what Democrats argue is being communicated. For example,
It's going to be a bloodbath for the whole country.
We've had a lot of violence coming out of the left. And so when he says that, he's very clear.
Like, how do you deal with this person? We have a lot of violence coming out of the left. Like, what planet are you living on? Because it's certainly not this one.
You hear him talking about the left.
It's going to be a bloodbath because they're not going to tolerate Trump being president anymore.
in this election year, perhaps like all the others, what matters most is not what's said,
If this election isn't won, I'm not sure that you'll ever have another election in this country.
but who's saying it.
I don't think you're going to have another election in this country if we don't win this election. What do you hear?
A comment like that is absolutely the farthest thing from the truth.
Well, but this is a Donald Trump quote. This is what he said at a rally.
Yes! Dude, CBS Morning doing Jordan Klepper bits is pretty funny. I love that. Okay, we need more of this, okay? Please, more of this, please and thank you. Bro, they're glitching. Watch them. Watch their faces, bro. Look, oh my God. Look.
A comment like that is absolutely the farthest thing from the truth.
Well, but this is a Donald Trump quote. This is what he said at a rally, and you know, this is something that the Democrats will use.
I see. No, I see.
So, how do you interpret this line from Donald Trump?
I think he had a lot of concerns about the last election.
Well, now that I found out it was Trump who said it, I agree with it. I love seeing this cognitive dissonance display in real time. Like his brain literally reset, dude. He short-circuited. It literally flipped the on and off switch in real time. Well, now that I know who said it, the equation is very different. My calculation is very different.
And especially whether or not all the results were accurate. And I think with that mindset, he made that statement, wondering whether or not, if this election were rigged, what would be the cause for future generations. When you first read that statement, I thought you were...
This is why Trump is so dangerous. His supporters 100% don't care about the truth, reality, or facts. Brother, if you think that this is unique to Donald Trump and not like the entire Republican Party, I don't know what to tell you. And this is not even unique to like the Republican Party even. There are some Democrats who also operate with this mindset too. Liberals do this shit too. The major difference with Donald Trump versus like the rest of the Republican lineup is that Donald Trump has the capacity to develop this like parasocial relationship because he's very telegenic and he's very charismatic to certain subsects of the American population. He's very good at channeling the frustration and the resentment that people feel to whatever his own personal agenda is.
Attributing it to President Biden. And then when you tell me that it's Trump, doesn't that tell you a little bit about what's going on in this country today when we have both major party candidates making...
Wait, what? No, this doesn't tell us anything about society. This only tells us everything about you and your own biases and how you operate. Oh, I love when people just immediately resort to society. This thing that you just did to me that demonstrated that I'm like literally a fucking idiot and so unimaginably biased. Yeah, it says a lot about society. Yeah, it does. It says that society thrives with dumbasses like you.
Similar statements about the other.
Well, I think it does.
They do that to you every day. Yeah, it's the classic. There was in 2021, when I bought the house, in the most radical anti-communist act that I could have ever taken, there was a sequence of like an entire year where people would just like straight up lie about things about me. And then it would come out that it was just an abject lie. And people would then turn around and instead of being like, yeah, actually, okay, my bad. Maybe I'll just like reconsider the way I interpret news about socialist Andy living in a gated community mansion. They would immediately turn around and be like, it says a lot about society that I could believe that he was, I could believe that this was true. It's like, no, man, what do you mean? It tells me a lot about Hasan that I could believe him, that I could believe that he had said this.
does, but not in quite the way he was referring there. I think, by the way, he was talking about Joe Biden calling Donald Trump a threat to democracy, but I didn't expect to be quoting Brene Brown this morning, a prior guest of our show. But a line from her actually came to me as I was having these conversations, which is, we think that we are rational beings that are sometimes emotional, but in fact, we are emotional beings who are only sometimes rational, especially, it seems, with politics.
Spot on. And it's not always the message, it's the messenger. All right, Tony, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so
That was
much.
great. Tony, thanks so much.